Bitcoin was the greatest financial miracle of our century. A digital gold that turned teenagers into millionaires and made skeptics look like fools. But then, it all just kind of broke. If you open your portfolio today, it probably looks less like a moon mission and more like a crime scene. We went from talking about Bitcoin at every Thanksgiving dinner to wondering if the whole thing was just a massive, decentralized fever dream. So what actually happened? Why did the king of crypto lose its crown? And is there any chance of a comeback? Or are we just holding on to digital dust? To understand where Bitcoin is going, we have to look at the massive gut punch it took over the last 2 years. It was a perfect storm of disaster. First, the easy money era ended. When the world was locked down and the government was printing money like it was a monopoly, Bitcoin thrived. Risk was free. But as soon as inflation hit and interest rates spiked, the big institutions pulled their cash out faster than a sinking ship. Then came the scandals. We watched the collapse of Luna, the total implosion of FTX, and the arrest of Sam Bankman-Fried. While these weren't Bitcoin's fault directly, they destroyed the one thing a digital currency needs to survive, which is trust. Now, we are standing in the aftermath, wondering if the future is bright or if we are just waiting for the final crash. The first thing we need to address is the death of the get-rich-quick narrative. That version of Bitcoin is dead. The days of putting in $100 and waking up with a Lambo are likely over because the asset has matured. Bitcoin is no longer an underground experiment. It is a Wall Street commodity. This is actually part of its evolution into digital gold. We are seeing massive giants like BlackRock and Fidelity filing for spot ETFs, which effectively bridges the gap between your local bank and the blockchain. When the suits show up, the volatility usually goes down, but the legitimacy goes up. The real future of Bitcoin hinges on utility and scarcity. The halving event is always the elephant in the room. Every 4 years, the supply of new Bitcoin being created is cut in half, which historically triggers a massive bull run because demand eventually outstrips the shrinking supply. But there is a catch this time. Bitcoin is facing a massive identity crisis. Is it a currency you actually spend, or just a store of value you hoard in a digital vault? With the rise of the Lightning Network, we are seeing attempts to make Bitcoin fast enough to buy a coffee. But the competition from stablecoins and faster blockchains like Ethereum or Solana is fierce. If Bitcoin wants to survive the next decade, it has to prove it is more than just a digital pet rock. It has to become the backbone of a global financial system that people actually use. We are also seeing a massive shift in where Bitcoin lives. It used to be all about China. Then it shifted to the US. And now we are seeing a massive push for mining in places with stranded energy like Iceland or El Salvador. The environmental argument, which was once the biggest threat to Bitcoin's survival, is slowly being dismantled as miners pivot to renewable energy to keep costs down. The future of Bitcoin is likely going to be boring, and that is actually a good thing. If it becomes a stable, regulated asset that sits in your 401k, it has won. It won't be as exciting as the 2017 or 2021 bull runs, but it will be permanent. The question you have to ask yourself isn't whether Bitcoin will hit $1 million tomorrow, but whether you believe the world needs a form of money that no government can print, no bank can freeze, and no politician can devalue. If the answer is yes, then the recent crash was just a correction in a much longer story. We are currently in the middle of the great shakeout. The weak projects are dying. The scammers are going to jail. And the technology is finally getting the scrutiny it needs to grow up. Bitcoin isn't going to zero, but it isn't going to the moon overnight either. It is finding its place in a world that is becoming increasingly digital and increasingly untrusting of traditional institutions. If you are still here, you are either a true believer or a glutton for punishment. Either way, the next few years will decide if Bitcoin becomes the global reserve currency or a historical footnote in a textbook about the digital age. If you found this breakdown helpful, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the future of finance. Let me know in the comments if you are buying the dip or if you think the party is officially over. See you